All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, introduce yourself. Great to have you here. Hi there. Welcome to the rally for electoral justice. We are really excited to have you here today. My name is Paul Friedman. I'm an Alexandrian and an activist and a grassroots organizer, one of them for today's event. It's great to see such a vocal, let's hear it again. And strong crowd here today, and clearly most people that have ever been in the Hilton Alexandria Potomac room ever of all time. So we're pleased to have you here, and we want to thank the Hilton for making this room available for us today. And I want to start out with a special shout out to the woman behind today's rally here in Alexandria and in Fredericksburg and Richmond, and that is Cindy Cunningham. And we also want to thank Boyd Walker, who helped coordinate today's event, as well as Esther Calhoun, who's there, is here. Very important. Boyd unfortunately has to be in Atlanta today, but he sends his best wishes for a great event. And we wanted to, let's see here, we want to make sure that we know that today we have some exceptional speakers, and we have a fabulous group of speakers to talk about this very important event. There's nothing more important than respecting the vote. There's nothing more important than a fair judicial process. There's nothing more important than a fair electoral process. And to that end, today we have already in the room with us three speakers. We have a fourth. Okay. And so we are going to kick it off today with Alexandria City Councilman John Chapman. We're going to move on to, we'll let John come up and speak, and he'll introduce the next speakers as we go. John, come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for braving the half of an inch of snow that we have here to come out for what is a very important topic, electoral justice. Prior to this rally, it wasn't something that I thought much about, but seeing what's happened with the last two races, these races that we're going to focus on today, it's definitely something that needs to be discussed widely, not just by the folks in this room, but folks that are from across our state. Because as any candidate can tell you when running, you want to run a race with integrity, but you also want to know that you either win or lose with integrity as well. And with both of these cases, the folks running on either side cannot say that their race is not somehow marred with the process. And as a candidate, that's not in a place where you want to be, because if you're a winning candidate and your process has been marred, folks, including yourself, will question whether you need to be in that office. If you are on the losing side of an issue or of a process that's marred, you will always continue to question the process that the voters believe in, because you might have believed that that process has stolen an opportunity to represent them. And as you, as a voter, we need to have full transparency and reliability on the processes that we have for getting our elected officials to represent us. And that's not what we can say about the processes that we're going to talk about today. So I want to welcome you to Alexandria, but I also want to recognize the folks we have coming today. We have from Arlington, Board of Supervisors member Katie Crystal. From Arlington, Delegate Alfonso Lopez. And he was my delegate until recently. We were redistricted out of this district. Delegate Mark Levine. Before I take my seat,
we also have school board member Karen Corbett Sanders. So
and I know I saw a couple of Alexandria City Council candidates. Well, if you want to stand up and and I believe Koenig was just here. Yeah, to look at. They'll also be running for city council this upcoming year, so check them out as well. And so with that, I'll take my seat, but I did want to thank you here, but I also wanted to say one more thing. If you look around, this room is not yet packed. So there are a lot of people that need to be standing up for electoral justice. We need to do everything that we can in the next few days to get as many of our friends, many folks in our network, whether it's social media, online, by calling them, by writing them, by seeing them in the streets and telling them what has gone on in these two different districts and why it is a problem, not only for those two districts, but for our state and our belief in this voting system that we have. So with that, I hope that you take the time out, not only to come here, but also get your prospective networks involved. And I'll turn it over to you with that. Thank you very much for being here.
It's all right, I've got a loud voice anyway. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Awesome. Thank you so much for being out here today for this important issue of electoral justice. I'm Katie Crystal. I'm the Vice Chair of the Arlington County Board, and I am also a proud Virginia Democrat. And I was a proud Virginia Democrat like you all in November when we saw the results of that election. And we saw voters across the Commonwealth send the message in large numbers that they were here to turn out for Democratic governors, lieutenant governors, attorney generals, and House of Delegates candidates all up and down the ballot. That they were there to turn out for Democrats, and that Democrats win when it's a fair fight. And there are so many things as a Virginia Democrat that I am optimistic about for this upcoming session. When I think about the opportunities with Democratic leadership to finally make progress on the things we care the most about, finally acknowledging the science of climate change and the threats that it offers to our own Commonwealth, to finally expand Medicaid and take care of our neighbors, address some of the biggest quality of life issues in our region, like traffic and transit and transportation. All of these things that Democrats can do if we have a fair fight. And I can tell you, it might be easy for us in Arlington or Alexandria to think, I send a great Democrat to the House of Delegates. I get to be represented by Alfonso Lopez. I get to be represented by Mark Levine. I can trust that my vote counts for a good, strong Democrat, but I can tell you, and Karen can tell you, and John can tell you, that for your localities, your hardworking county boards and school boards and city councils that are fighting for your progressive values, control of the House of Delegates matters so much.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Yes.
To build the kind of communities that we want to build, to fix the backbone of our economy and quality of life like Metro, to ensure that we have sufficient school funding so that our schools can lift up the next generation of our diverse citizenry. And in ways little and big and small, the House of Delegates, because of the Dillon Rule, can effectively issue a veto over our progressive local policies, our living wage practices about paying our own contractors, our human rights ordinances about extending domestic partner benefits to LGBT individuals prior to marriage equality. The House of Delegates matters for our progressive values around the state, but also in our own backyard, and that's why it's so important that our progressive values be represented, and they will be represented if it's a fair fight. And I will tell you what is not a fair fight. What is not a fair fight is for the loser of a recount to be able to sift through discarded ballots. It is not a fair fight for voters who come out, who brave that cold, rainy weather that we had back in November, who get all their ducks in a row, who identify their voter identification cards, and come out to make their voices heard, and are misclassified in the wrong district so that the person they're voting for isn't the person who represents them. That's not a fair fight either. We know that our values can carry the day, that we can see a democratic majority and with it all of the visions of progress that we have if the fight is fair. And so thank you for being here, because it all starts here with an even playing field and a fair fight. And I'm glad to be with you today, rallying for that exact purpose. Represented by the delegate Alfonso Lopez of the Fighting 49ers.